At the very least, it's over now, right? Like, they're not gonna reboot the franchise for another decade, at least.
Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
Hello, hello. So I just saw Jurassic World Dominion. This is the third and final movie in the Jurassic World franchise. Hopefully, maybe, probably, well, when this makes $1 billion, we'll see what they say, because you can't really kill that theme park cash cow, baby. Speaking of theme parks, I saw this movie in 4DX, which was my first time seeing a movie like that, which was quite the experience. So obviously I grew up going to Universal and stuff like that, and I'm very familiar with rides like the Shrek 4D and Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Neutron, the Minions ride, where you're kind of sitting in like a movie theater setting and there's like 4 or 5 seats connected to each other, and you're doing all this like movement and stuff. It's funny because I have a very firm memory of being with my old best friend from childhood on the Shrek ride, and there's a scene where they're on the carriage going down this bumpy road, and I remember looking over at him and just seeing him go like this. And just being completely thrown away by this ride. That's really what this experience is like. I can't see myself ever wanting to do this again. Like, I on my own am like, you know what I need to watch this in 4DX, because rather than focus on the movie, I just want to be constantly punched in the back of the head. I did laugh out loud when snow was shot out from the ceiling when they were in the snowy area. And I guess it does kind of like make you want to be more into an action scene, because it's like, you're in the action scene. You are also moving all over the place and jostling around, and with my hair, it was awful because it just constantly kept getting in my face. Just constantly like that, like I was at a rocker concert. It was an intense experience, so I definitely feel like I need to watch this movie again so I could focus more on the story of what's going on, because a lot of this I was just trying to hold on for dear life. I really don't think it would be a great idea to rewatch this movie for the story, because Jesus Christ, was this a disaster of a blockbuster. Not unlike most third movies in a trilogy where things aren't really wrapped up quite the way you wanted them to be. But whereas I feel most trilogies like this, the first movie is the most important one. That was the original idea. I feel like this was the original idea. They made Pirates of the Caribbean. They were like, oh, that was successful. Let's do 2 more and make it like a trilogy. We made Spider-Man. Oh, well, that one did really well. Let's make more, make it like a trilogy. But with this, they wanted to make Jurassic World, right? Jurassic World. So we remade the first Jurassic Park, except this time we could see the theme park. And that's kind of the new cool thing, is we get to see what it would be like if it was in action. But at the end of the day, it's very much so The Force Awakens. It's the same exact movie as the first one. Same general, like there's a theme park. It's supposed to be this big, fun, grand thing, but dinosaurs get out and they cause havoc. Life finds a way. And we realize, hey, maybe we shouldn't have fucked with nature like that. And then Fallen Kingdom is just a remake of The Lost World, because both movies are about, okay, so now that the theme park failed, let's take advantage of this opportunity and get the dinosaurs safe, make sure they have a safe place to be, and there's bad guys who are trying to steal the dinosaurs and use them for nefarious purposes, and we gotta stop them. All along, I felt like the goal of this franchise was predicated on the idea of, we want to make a movie where there's dinosaurs out in the real world. We gotta find a way to get them from this theme park where they're genetically engineered to getting them to be outside in the real world. So I went into this movie with such optimism, because I'm like, at the very least, this is the movie they wanted to make all along. And I kind of respect it for that. I really do, especially since Colin Trevorrow came back to do this one. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of the Disney Star Wars trilogy. The first one is a remake of the first original movie, just beat for beat, except like worse and updated and shittier. And then the second movie plays with your expectations. Obviously, Fallen Kingdom is nowhere near The Last Jedi, but where this I feel like really connects with the Disney Star Wars trilogy is the fact that the director of the first one, who made a beat for beat carbon copy, comes back and makes the final conclusion movie after missing the second one and ending the story that he started the way that he wanted to finish it, even if he has to force it there, baby. No, and this is not unlike Rise of Skywalker. I felt vibes of that movie throughout the entirety of this experience, and I hate The Rise of Skywalker. That's one of my least favorite movies of all time. But I feel like that's because I'm such a huge Star Wars fan. I have such high expectations for Star Wars. I don't go into a Star Wars movie and say, all right, well, as long as there's like space battles and weird aliens, then I'll be happy. Because, yeah, I know people I respect who like The Rise of Skywalker and think it's a fun, good movie. That's the word they use. They like, it's fun. Because all they wanted was just a dumb, fun space adventure where there's space battles, lightsabers, and weird aliens, right? That's what they wanted. That's kind of where I'm at with this movie, because all I wanted was cool dinosaur shit. And I got that. There's cool dinosaur shit in this. Everything's dark, obnoxiously dark, and a lot of it feels repetitive and just like a rehash of older things. But at the end of the day, it was still mostly 2.5 hours of dinosaurs. So there's a floor. There's a definitive floor for how bad this movie can be. The other blockbuster that it kind of reminded me of was BVS, whereas it's so colossally big and stupid, but at the end of the day, it's overly dark and it thinks it's a lot deeper with the moral questions that it asks than it actually is. It isn't really deep at all, and it's kind of pretentious and stupid, but it's kind of fun how stupid it is, because you're laughing at the movie for how poorly executed it is, and it's so overly ambitious. But at the end of the day, Batman fought Superman, and it was pretty cool. So same thing with Jurassic World Dominion. Like, it was really dumb, stupid, overly dark, and obnoxious, and had really terrible, forced, pathetic fan service, but there was dinosaurs in it, and they fought sometimes and went after people. So at the end of the day, I really enjoyed myself. I really enjoyed myself during this experience, even with the 40X just jostling me around the entire time. Would I recommend it to anybody? No. I mean, if you're invested in the series and you think this is a movie you would like, I'm sure you would like it. I was shocked because I heard nothing but negative things about this movie from people that I know and respect, and even people that I don't respect. All I heard about was, 40% of Rotten Tomatoes. Like, it's all down bad out the gate. You know, like, this is the worst movie in a franchise that only has bad sequels. Whereas I genuinely enjoy most of the Jurassic Park movies. Jurassic Park, huge gap. Jurassic Park 3, because I like the nostalgia and how cheesy Alan and the Spinosaurus, a lot of practical dinosaurs. It's a nice, crisp, short action movie, and it wasn't trying to do too much. Followed immediately by Jurassic Park The Lost World. It's got Ian Malcolm in it. There's a lot of great set pieces in this movie, and at the end of the day, it's still a Spielberg movie. Then pretty decent drop down to Jurassic World, movie that fundamentally misunderstands what makes the first movie great while being a carbon copy of the first movie at the same time. Followed immediately by Fallen Kingdom. I think the distinction here between Fallen Kingdom and this movie is Fallen Kingdom is one bad movie. This is like two bad movies in one. I'd be lying if I didn't say Jurassic World Dominion wasn't epic. It's epic. It really is a marvel. I'm astounded by how atrocious this movie is and just how much it's trying to accomplish, how unsuccessful it is at everything across the board. This movie fails every single one of its characters for me. There's a lot of interesting things that you could dive into with a lot of these characters, even the ones that I don't care about, which famously most people don't care about: Chris Pratt and Ron Howard's daughter. We'll start with them. So Star-Lord and Ron Howard's daughter are taking care of the clone corn girl. Her whole deal is she really wants to rebel and get out there and be her own person and try to live a normal life, but they're trying to shield her off from the world. I do appreciate Star-Lord and Ron Howard's daughter are actually dating at the beginning of this movie, because it's so frustrating how in Fallen Kingdom it's like, you know how they got together at the end of the first one? Yeah, well, that didn't last for long. They're broken up now for some off-screen reason, and the whole movie's about them coming back together. So I was so happy when they kissed when they first saw each other, and I was like, thank God we're not going through that bullshit again. Don't worry, the will they won't they romantic subplot is satiated by Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Edley Sattler, but we'll get to that. This is the big final epic conclusion of Star-Lord and Blue, their relationship, you know what I mean? Like, that whole fucking movie, the entire trilogy is defined by that one motion. And they in your face with that motion in this movie. It's obnoxious how much they use that. And it does nothing. And it's cheesy and stupid. Whatever. It's all they got. It's really all they got. Owen's whole thing is not only does he want to save Clone Girl, it's like his daughter now, but he also wants to get back Beta Blue, Blue's daughter, who Blue had without needing another raptor to reproduce. Like, it had it on its own, which should be impossible. Spoilers, by the way, this is going to be a spoiler from here on out. If you're a non-spoiler person, 2 out of 5. Because while there is plenty of bad stuff that I really enjoy in this movie, and it's got dinosaurs in it, there's enough bad stuff that upset me that it's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. But just like how I rewatch BVS once every, 2 years, I'll probably do the same with this movie because it is such a disaster piece that it's so interesting that there's so much to unpack here in a franchise that I care so much about. I'm sure if I rewatched it, I would like it a little bit more, knowing what I'm going to, knowing how bad it is, and just accepting it for what it is, enjoying more of the bad stuff in a dumb, fun way. But for now, I'm at a 2 out of 5. If I ever do feel compelled to watch another 2.5 hours of this movie, then I'm sure I'll bump it up, maybe if I feel better about it the second time. My problem with rewatching it is that means I will have dedicated 5 hours to watching this movie, and that's just not something I can really live with. So at the end of this movie, spoilers, we're in spoilers time now. At the end of this movie, Star-Lord brings back the raptor kid. He's just looks at Blue and he's just like, nothing. It's just a nice, charged look. Blue comes back to look at him as if to say, hey, thanks, bro. I wanted, a little head nod or something, or them to kiss even. I never cared about that relationship anyways. I don't know. I guess I'm just happy that it's over. Claire, played by Ron Howard's daughter, her whole thing that they touch on, which I was happy that they brought it up, but they don't explore it at all. They just bring it up at the beginning that she's only doing all this activist stuff for these dinosaurs because she feels guilty because she was, a very high up person in the creation of Jurassic World, the theme park. I like that. I'm happy about that. But exploring it is not her hugging Dr. Ellie Sattler, her being like, it's not your fault. That's not enough for me. They just kind of bring up that issue. We don't get to explore it whatsoever. We don't get to explore anybody's internal character arcs really at all. I mean, we got to get to the dinosaur action, right? Because that's what the first Jurassic Park was all about. There was 25 minutes of screen time for dinosaurs in the original Jurassic Park movie, give or take. And there's probably 25 minutes of actual genuine human character stuff in this movie. So they reversed it. That's the thing. I really feel like the first priority here was the dinosaurs and not the human characters, which just completely misunderstands the intent of the first movie. But whatever. The dinosaurs were in service of the characters and not the other way around. At the very least, this is a big problem I had with Jurassic World, because the best scene in Jurassic World is when there's the Brachiosaurus that's dead and they're pet it and you could see Star-Lord's hand touching the dinosaur and you're like, oh, I can tell that's real. I feel this emotion right now. Good moment. Which, another thing about this movie that I actually enjoyed is there is a lot of practical dinosaurs in this movie, especially the smaller ones, but still, I'll take what I can get, okay? I definitely appreciated that. There was a good scene with Ron Howard's daughter where she's being attacked by a blind dinosaur and her idea is to wade into the water and go underneath, and that was a genuinely scary scene. Really good movie. Corn Girl, the little maze, whatever her name is, clone. It's interesting because I just had a big, long philosophical discussion about nature versus nurture and whether or not she is her own person, diving into why she feels like she's the same as these dinosaurs, why she feels that connection to them, what's going to happen with her character, whether or not the science that was used to help her and make her a more healthy version of her mother and not have the same genetic problems that her mother had, whether that will be implemented in the future. All of that's really interesting to think about and dive into, but this movie doesn't do that at all whatsoever. Her whole thing, she wants to get out. At the end of the movie, does she get out? At the end of the movie, her big thing is that she lets the fucking beta blue go to its mother, and it's like, was that her deal? Was that her whole thing here? I think the question I asked is, do you think after the events of this movie, the corn girl gets a social security card? You know what I mean? Does she become a part of society? Does she go to school and meet other people, or does she have to continue living in this cabin in the middle of nowhere? I have no idea, because the movie doesn't really care about that, because there's not dinosaurs involved in that. But yeah, she was stupid in a fun way in the first movie, and now she's just stupid in an annoying way. Moving on. I guess let's just get to the meat and potatoes here. Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Ellie Sattler are back, and this is the second movie because everything that Star-Lord is doing with Ron Howard's daughter is completely independent to what is going on with the legacy characters here, because they get invited by Dr. Ian Malcolm to come visit him at the Biodyne big tech place that's, trying to abuse the dinosaurs, cause an apocalypse or whatever. Alan Grant's roped back into it, and they really force down your throat the whole they're gonna get back together in this movie. See, you know, she had kids in the third one, and Alan Grant regretted that he never got with her, because the whole arc of Alan Grant in the first movie is how he learns to like soften up and maybe, you know, like be cool with kids, embrace the idea of settling down and becoming a family man, probably doing that with Ellie Sattler. And then they kind of ruin that in the third Jurassic Park movie, and now they retcon that. It's just annoying when they comment on things that fans are worried and annoyed about. It just feels like a reaction. It doesn't feel like they made this decision because they had a good idea for it. It feels like they were like, well, fans didn't like this, so we're gonna make sure to retcon that. Oh, she had the kids, now she's broken up with her husband, and they're back and they're part of this whole thing, and they gotta go on this big fun mission, just like Top Gun, your favorite hero from decades ago, that old blockbuster that you liked when you were a kid. Yeah, he's out of the game now, but don't worry, he's not like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. He's gonna get back out there and go do this big thing, because don't you love watching elderly men do action scenes in big dumb action movies? Come on, it's like baffling to me that Liam Neeson makes like the same movie 3 times a year and people just eat that shit up because they're like, oh man, I wish I could beat people up, and I also love my family. I see myself in you. It's just wish fulfillment for old people, and that's fine. I'm sure when I'm 40, I'm gonna enjoy watching movies like this. My dad mentioned this about the Disney Star Wars movies. He's like, oh, I don't really like them because they were just like killing off my favorite old characters. Like every movie was just a funeral for a different old character they like, and they keep everyone alive here, and that's fine. All of that just felt pandering and stupid, and I didn't need it. Even Dr. Ian Malcolm, it just felt like this was forced. We didn't need this. I was actually even arguing that you could take out their storyline. I feel like there's a version of this script where the legacy characters aren't in it. It would be a better movie for it, because it's just references to the original movie, and just, remember Jurassic Park? Do you remember we liked Jurassic Park? Here's the guys from Jurassic Park, and look, Alan Grant recognizes BD Wong, because of course he would. I'm sure their performances are fine, but except for Sam Neill, I didn't like Sam Neill in this, but everyone else is fine. Whose idea was locusts? Why are we making a Jurassic Park movie about locusts? That was what the big issue was for me here. I'm sitting here worried about, well, these locusts keep doing what they're doing and spreading around, killing all the crops and causing this big famine, then we're all gonna die. I don't give a shit about this little clone girl or this little raptor baby. I don't care about them. I care about the entire human race actually dying, and not from dinosaurs, but from locusts. Because I remember after Fallen Kingdom, it's like, there's not that many dinosaurs that were in that little mansion, okay? There's maybe like 30. I would say 30 dinosaurs that are there. You really want me to believe that they would spread out, repopulate that quickly? Come on, and they go to other continents too? Like, fuck off. The whole black market aspect of the dinosaurs in this movie was funny, especially when there was a scene where they go to this like cockfighting place, but for dinosaurs. Star-Lord is fighting bad guy with gun who kidnapped girl at beginning. They're fighting the same place that the dinosaurs are fighting. Meanwhile, there's like huge dinosaurs all around them that are eating every living human being that comes in their path. And it's just like, guys, I really don't understand why you're worried about fighting each other when you guys are both about to die very easily. And then like bad guy is being like, no, one dinosaur's eating his right hand, and then the other dinosaur comes up and like eats its head. Star-Lord just turns around like, all taken care of, and it's like, dude, how do you know that you're not about to be eaten at any second? There's plenty of dinosaurs around you that are eating every living soul, and you just seem so calm and unbothered by the fact there's dinosaurs all around you causing mayhem. I guess it's fine, because if any of them make eye contact with him, he'll just, you know, like, he's gonna do his little Nazi salute at him, and it's gonna make them stop for at least a moment, I guess, because it doesn't like do much of anything, because there's so many times where they like, their solution is just like, do that because it'll make them slowly approach you for like a minute, and then at the last second just roll away. They bring back Omar Sy and they reference bringing back Jake Johnson, and then they don't, and I'm like, well, Jake Johnson was the best character in the first one, so screw you for teasing me. My editor had a lot to say about how this is like Colin Trevorrow's fuck you at Disney for not letting him make Duel of the Fates, and I see a lot of that in this, and I think that's very fair, and a lot of the metaphors and the character parallels make a lot of sense. Obviously, the Jurassic World franchise is obvious about being anti-corporations and theme parks, all this crap, and yeah, I think that's actually a really good theory that tracks. I'd have to see it again to feel more strongly about it, but that's one that definitely resonates with me. I like when a director goes out and makes the movie he wanted to make, and I really respect this movie for that. Like I said, they made the exact movie they wanted to make, and I'm really happy for them. That being said, seeing this movie in 40X while I'm constantly being jostled around felt like I was being mugged in real life, in real time, by Colin Trevorrow himself. This movie movie makes me feel like Safety Not Guaranteed was genuinely a fluke. At the end of the day, this is a big, dumb, stupid movie, and it's really shocking to find out that the Rotten Tomato audience score is an 81 or an 83, something like that, like relatively high. For critics, it is around 35, so I guess I'm more in line with them. But I did have a great time. I really enjoyed watching this. I'd bet that Steven Spielberg never watches this movie in his life. At the end of the day, I respect how bad this movie is, and when it comes to atrocious third movie collapses, see, that's the thing. I never thought Jurassic World was very good. I never really thought that Fallen Kingdom was very good at all. So when people are like, wow, this is such a downgrade from, Jurassic World, it's like, no, it was always this bad, guys. It was like, this is worse, sure. They were all bad. Underwhelming. Here's an argument that I'm gonna make, because I gave Jurassic World 4 stars. I gave Fallen Kingdom 3 stars, and I'm giving this 2 stars. My point here by saying all of those are underwhelming, it's like, well, 4 star, that's a really good review, Adam. A movie about dinosaurs, for me, a 22-year-old adult male who's obsessed with movies, this is my science fiction collection right here. This is my type of movie. It should be a 5-star movie out of principle. So if you fuck up enough that I don't think that you're a 5-star movie, then there's a problem, because it's very easy to satiate me. I said that my standard was, I just wanted the number one thing I feel coming out of this movie to be like, oh, cool dinosaur stuff. Oh my god, and we didn't even talk about the Gigabitosaurus, the Joker dinosaur that just wanted to make the world burn. I didn't get that at all in this movie. I have no idea what the fuck Colin Trevorrow was on when he said that. Oh, what an awful, stupid idea thing to say. What an idiot. The Gigasaurus was stupid. Honestly, they usually build up a big dinosaur. Like in Fallen Kingdom, it was the Indoraptor, and I felt the build up to that. It was actually like a character in the movie. And the first one had the Indominus Rex, and then the third one had the Spinosaurus. The second one had, there was 2 parent T-Rexes, and there's a bunch of raptors, and then there was the one parent T-Rex. So yeah. And then the first movie obviously has the T-Rex, but this one, the Giga, is the big one, and he fights the T-Rex at the end, and then the T-Rex is like, you thought I was dead, I'm not, and then comes back from the dead and like fights it with the feather claw finger blind dinosaur, and they beat him up together. You can tell it's supposed to be this big, like, yay, and I'm just like, I don't know him. Like, I don't care about him. He's just slowly following our heroes around. Like, it's so funny when he faces off against the entire group. This is around the time when they both say at the same time, don't move a muscle, and it's like, I get it, you guys are like the same character type, and it's funny seeing you guys together, and that's real cute movie. That's a line from the other movies. Great. They go and hide like behind a car, and it's like, he knows you're there. What do you think you're doing? Like, and what is he doing? Why aren't you attacking them? Are you toying with them? Are you playing a game? And then he gets beat up later, and I don't feel anything, and I don't care at all. The movie ends with a bunch of beautiful shots of dinosaurs coexisting with other animals. At the end of the day, they should never have made dinosaurs, and I hate that this movie tries to play with the fact that it's like, oh no, it's super deep, and it's a good thing that we're doing all this stuff because we're trying to solve genetic problems like cancer and Alzheimer's, and there's good intentions here, and there's good things that are coming out of it. And it's like, no, 1993, they told you very clearly, this is a dumb fucking idea, don't do this. It's so fake with its morality. It kind of feels like the Saw movies. That's how low the bar is for this movie, because they're like, oh yeah, no, it's very interesting, right? Is Jigsaw actually the murderer, or is he helping these people? Is he good for society? No, he's not. He's a fucking maniac, and he should be stopped. And you should stop making dinosaurs, because they're just gonna eat all these people. This is a stupid, dumb movie. This is a ridiculous, stupid, dumb movie. It's irresponsibly ambitious, but at least it's a director that had an idea for a movie, and he really went out there and made exactly what he wanted to make. God damn it if I don't admire that and appreciate that. 2 out of 5. Definitely bad, but I could see myself going up to a 3 on a rewatch if I let up on some of those problems on a second viewing and just appreciate it for what it is, I guess. I'm just happy that it's over, but like I said, it's going to be rebooted very soon. I thought it was really funny how they were like, oh, in the future, would you come back and do a legacy sequel, Chris Pratt and Ron Howard's daughter? They were like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess. How do you feel about this movie? Do you love it? Am I crazy and dumb? Or tell me how deep it is. Tell me how much you like Jurassic Park movies and dinosaurs in general. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that other stuff for me, please and thank you, and keep loving movies.